after understand and do the hands-on practices on availability zones and paired region, we have next option is availability sets. Now guys, availability set is really a great option for those people who never ever want to reboot their server or make sure their server is always running 24/7. Hello guys, my name is Harsh, and in this video we will talk less and do more on availability sets. I will show you that how we can configure availability sets for our infrastructure in case you have a plan to meet SLA. Now guys, SLA is all about service license agreement, although we will cover that in upcoming time, especially when we talk about more on subscriptions and billing and all sort of thing. But SLA is also a very important factor, and in Microsoft they provide you with this option 99.95% uptime. Now think about it. If you would like to meet this goal, you have to and you need to configure availability sets for your infrastructure. So guys, let's jump in and try to understand more how we can configure it. It is super easy to configure availability sets. After watching this video, you will see, hey Harsh, it's damn easy, and we were thinking that it might be very much hassle and there might be many more options to configure to enable availability sets. But that's not the case. It is very much easy, and after you watch this video, you will definitely be very much confident to configure availability sets for your infrastructure. So let's move and try to configure right away. But before to actually deploy availability sets, I would like to show you the same option I showed you in availability zones, that in case you have not configured availability sets during the deployment, that means you have to recreate the VM or you have to create a new VM altogether. So to just clarify, you can simply go to the virtual machine and click on availability plus scaling, and here you can find out the information. The availability sets can only be configured when creating a virtual machine. You must recreate the virtual machine to move it or in or out of an availability sets. So guys, this is the point. Please make sure when you are actually deploying your virtual machine, only then you must configure this option. Otherwise, it is going to be difficult. And for availability zones, I just thought about that a possibility whether we can do it from a PowerShell, like for availability zones, whether we can change or put a VM into availability zone after created a VM. Don't worry, I have a plan to have a discussion internally with the Azure VM team, and if I find the options, don't worry, I will show you how we can achieve that too. But for now, let's focus on availability sets and try to talk more about how we can configure. So to do that, let's go back to the same place, I mean virtual machine. So you can either go from here, virtual machine, or either go from here, virtual machines. And now start creating a new machine. So to create a new machine, I think it's not going to be a difficult task. We are going to just create a new resource group for this reason. I give the name HA asset, and after that, I'm going to give the name of the virtual machine here as well. So I give the name Harsh VM1, and after that the region. Of course, you can choose any region you want, but at this moment I'm going to choose East US2 because it will help us to configure availability sets for us. So right now we need to click here, click on availability set. Yeah, and one more thing before I move forward. If you choose any other, sorry, not North Europe, let me choose, let's say, Central US as an example. And if you're trying to configure zone and set, you can configure, but let me try to find any other region, which would be, let's say, Central India. And if you try to find, you won't find availability zones, but you can find availability set, which means you can configure anywhere in any region you want for availability sets. All right, just to avoid any confusion. So anyway, I'm going to back and choose my region as East US2, and here availability set. And this time, right now you'll find nothing in availability set option. So what we have to do, we have to create a new availability set for us. So as soon as you click on this create new, you can find a name here. So I give the name, for example, not this name. So I give the name Harsh Arena Asset. You give any name you like, okay? And the next thing is a fold domain. Obviously, right now I choose as a 2-fold domain. You can increase it, you can decrease it per your requirement. And update domain, you can also increase and decrease. But I think 5 is more than enough for me at the moment, because I am currently trying to deploy 2 web server for me. So guys, just to be, yeah, let me do also one more thing. Let me try to change this to as a web server. Or let me make it a more easier, web server 1. All right, so basically just to tell you that fold domain and update domain. Fold domain means if one rack server is down, don't worry, another rack server is going to be up and running, where when you create this VM, it automatically deployed on another logical container of FD, which is fold domain, or another rack server. It's not going to be deployed on the same rack server. And for update domains, it's all about the Microsoft Azure updates, because sometimes you find that Windows has been rebooted by Microsoft Azure services to update something on the rack server, or let's say on the VM itself. Sorry, not on the VM, but on the rack server some way. So to avoid those problems, we have UD. So I think 5 UD is more than enough, because Microsoft is not going to deploy at the same time on all the data center available. So I think for me, the settings are pretty much clear. So just click OK. And after the set availability set has been chosen, correctly configured, yeah, as an example, I'm going to choose Windows 10. So I choose Windows 10, and yeah, that to be all. Now size, I think it's fine for me. B1MS, it's okay. Now just give the username and the password. All right, now the password is set. Yeah, RDP is fine, because I'm not going to do the RDP at the moment, but yeah, just click review and create. So once the validation passed, we are going to create this one. All right, cool. So we have begun with the availability set deployment for one web server, or our first web server. Now, as a part of the deployment, we need to choose the same availability set for another new web server, which we are trying to deploy in the same region. So I'll show you how you can do that. While this is deploying at the moment, let me go back to virtual machine. And let me choose the virtual machine. Yeah. And let me just create another virtual machine. And I'll show you what options you have to choose, and you can find the differences after creation. So don't worry, I will show you all together. So resource group, yeah, that's okay. If you choose the same resource group, I'm going to choose same HA asset as an example here. And virtual machine name is web server -2. Obviously, it will help us to recognize easily, right? So the next option is region. So I'm going to choose East US2, and here availability set. And this time I'm going to choose already existed availability set. Don't be confused in this. Don't need to create a new one. We have to choose the same availability set you have created for first web server. Otherwise, it might be a possibility that both of these different availability set sit in the same fold domain. So avoid that, please. So right now, image, same way, I'm going to choose Windows 10. And in Windows 10, yeah, that's it. Size is correct. I'm going to give the username and the password. Man, I love it to do these practices, and while I get a chance to deploy for the organization, I always loved it. So if you love Azure, if you love technology, I think you're going to enjoy a lot. So have fun, sit back, enjoy, and try to learn as much as you can do. Anyway, just click review and create. Now this VM is also gonna be created for us, and validation passed, that's good. Just click create. So now what we have to do, we need to wait for these two VMs to be created. Once this VM is created, I can at least show you after that what differences you can find for availability sets, so that it will be easy for you to see the differences and at least understand how our availability set has been configured in this scenario. So for now, let me just go back and click virtual machine and wait for some time, because one VM is currently here and it is showing creating. So I will get back to you as soon as next VM is also up and running, and I'll show you the differences right there. All right, so stay tuned. All right guys, now our VMs are ready and they are in running position. Now what we have to do, we have to check and analyze that what exactly is going on for these two VMs for availability sets. And to understand and to review them, what we can do, we can simply go to one by one these two VMs and try to understand what sort of information we can find about availability sets. So let's go to the first one, web server 1. So as soon as you go there, what you need to do, you need to click on availability and scaling. And yeah, I mean, this time you can find the information here. So currently this is the name of our availability set, and you can see the current full domain is zero. And let's try to read a little bit more information about this. For full domain, virtual machine in the same full domain shares a common power source and physical network switch if they are in the same full domain. All right. And for update domain, virtual machine in the same update domain will be restarted together during the planned maintenance. Azure never restart more than one update domain at the same time. So means we need to make sure that other web server has been deployed must not have the same full domain and update domain. So let's do one thing. Let's try to go to web server 2 and try to see this information. So yeah, I think you can see pretty much clearly that we are on web server 2 now. And here we can see it is currently in full domain 1 and update domain 1. So it means that we can make sure our server is up and running 24/7 and can meet now 99.95% SLA from Microsoft Azure. So I think it is a great way and the great practices to ensure for disaster recovery situation, and of course for business continuity, and to of course impress your clients to do more within the infrastructure. So yeah guys, I mean, it's pretty much simple and straightforward. I think you won't find this video quite difficult, and you find again all this shared information quite informative. So yeah, that will be all for today, and please take care of yourself guys. It's a COVID-19 situation, and you have to take care of your family and yourself. So keep learning with me, and I do have plan to introduce a couple of more training which is a little bit advanced level. So stay tuned here, and also you can request your team members or of course other members to join or subscribe the channel. The purpose here is to reach these videos to as many as possible people can reach. So yeah guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please take care of yourself today. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Peace.